Feedback Learnex. English forever.
Good evening, Learnex, and welcome to this week's edition of Feedback Learnex. Join us as today we take a look at the novels and literary works that have terror written all over them. There are many famous horror writers. Some are classics like Edgar Allan Poe, Bram Stoker, or H.P. Lovecraft. Others are known to everyone as Stephen King, Richard Matheson, and Clive Barker. However, there are a handful of horror writers who are of great quality and who are not as well known. It is theirs that we will talk about next. Brian Lumley. Best novel, The Necroscope. Lumley is a British writer specializing in stories of cosmic horror, a genre that was born with Lovecraft. He has extensive experience as a writer. Since the 70s, he has scared his readers with bloody and disturbing stories. His two biggest series are those of The Necroscope and the Titus Crow series. In the first series, he portrays the adventures and misadventures of a young man capable of contacting the dead and whose destiny leads him to fight against necromancers and interdimensional vampires. All this seasoned with a tone of Cold War thriller. The second series recounts the life of Titus Crow, a man who experts in dark arts. Crow engages in a series of terrifying events that proclaim the advent of the deities of the myths of Tlaloc. In general, Lumley's work has gone unnoticed by many, but it is of great quality, and if you find any of his books, do not hesitate to buy them. Ramsay Campbell. Best novel, The Doll That Ate His Mother. Campbell was the youngest member of the Lovecraft Circle. He corresponded with the author of Providence, and he advised him to set many of his Lovecraft stories in his native England. Campbell worked for many years in that genre, but with professional maturity, he left to find his own style. Their stories stopped having monsters and were changed to serial killers, ghosts, witches, supernatural entities, etc. He is one of the best horror writers in the United Kingdom. Peter Strahm. Best novel, Ghosts. This writer is one of the most prolific of the genre. He published two excellent novels in collaboration with Stephen King and has won a good amount of awards, among which the Bram Stoker stands out for his novel Ghosts. Strahm knows how to vary the narrative styles of his novels, adapting to each story. Some of his books are of mystery, some others of supernatural terror, but whatever the subject, he does so with great narrative quality. John Ajvide Lindqvist. Best novel, Let Me In. This Swedish writer is one of the greatest revelations of recent years. Before becoming a writer, he worked as a street magician and comedian. Among his greatest influence is the music of Morrissey. His best novel work excellently modifies the myth of the vampire. While other authors opted for sexual and bloody issues, Lindqvist portrayed a tender and disturbing story at the same time, moves away from gender conventions, and brings it to a close in reality. This novel was taken to the cinema twice. The last one was produced by the Hammer Company. Thomas Locati. Best story collection, The Nightmare Factory. Most likely you don't have the slightest idea of who he is, and for a long time no one knew, and what is known is very little. But his work is magnificent. To give you an idea, the first season of True Detective is extremely influenced by the work of Locati. In his stories, he plays different subgenres of terror, among them the Lovecraftians. But what makes them so particular and unique is their pessimistic and nihilistic style. So here you have them. These authors are somewhat in the shadows, and their books are hard to come by. But they are certainly excellent horror writers, and you have to read their books. You will never regret it.
Feedback Learning, English Forever. Estamos en sintonía. Feedback Learning, English Forever.